Worthy chairpersons, Dr. Savraj Raj, Dr. Ritinder Joshi, and Dr. Prashant Mothe, faculty members from various colleges, research scholars, and my dear colleagues, a very warm welcome to all to this international virtual conference being organized by PG Department of English of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Shri Anandpur Sahib. Now I'd request Dr. Gurpreet Kaur, head of the department, to formally introduce the participants with the theme of the Dr. Gurpreet Kaur.
Brian Herbert has said, the capacity to learn is a gift. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. A very pleasing good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Postgraduate Department of English, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Anandpur,
Gurpreet ma'am, kindly switch on your camera and you are inaudible actually.
disconnected. University Science Malaysia, Penang, and our special invitee, Dr. Jason S. Pauly, Associate
Kindly
Professor,
switch on your
Department
camera
of
ma'am.
English, Hong Kong Baptist University, respected principal, Dr. Jasdeep Singh, esteemed chairpersons of various technical sessions, participants from various countries, my colleagues, and student researchers. Language is the key to knowledge, culture, and civilization, and it represents a bridge of communication with others, and undoubtedly, English is a worldwide language. The Postgraduate Department of English of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Anandpur Sahib, was established in 1968. Ever since its inception, the department has been working passionately for teaching English as an international language to the students. The department offers BA Honors, School in English, MA English, and certificate course in spoken English, apart from teaching English to other degree course students. Here, I would like to mention that our English Literary Society has been very actively organizing various literary events for the cognitive as well as co-curricular enhancement of the students. With all this, I'm confident that we are going ahead in adopting a learning environment capable of preparing and qualifying graduates, enabling them to face the challenges innovatively and creatively. With this aim and keeping in view the demand of the time, this conference invited papers on various themes. The topic of the conference is relevant and consequential for academic discussion and solving challenges pertaining to English literature, art, and culture. The writers are influenced by the evolution of literature, and many of them, in turn, contribute to new trends. Literature, art, and culture, like other walks of life, are changing at a more rapid pace today than ever before because of the innumerable political, social, cultural, and technological changes happening in the world, which requires expeditious resolution as well. Thus, the conference becomes imperative for social cause and provides a platform for a collective discussion to increase the horizon of our knowledge. I feel glad to announce that the conference participation is at a gratifyingly high level. We have around 130 national as well as international enthusiastic researchers from more than 40 universities from India, Hong Kong, Kong, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Canada, and Nigeria, making this conference a truly international conference in spirit. I would like to take a moment to personally welcome and thank our chief guest, Dr. M. Maniruzaman, Professor, Department of English, Jahangirnagar University, Bangladesh, for having spared his valuable time. My special thanks are due to our guest of honor, Dr. Malini Ganpathi, Senior Lecturer, School of Languages, Literacies and Translation, University Science Malaysia, Penang. I am so very grateful to our special invitee, Dr. Jason S. Pauly, Associate Professor, Department of English, Hong Kong Baptist University, for accepting the invitation to grace this occasion. I'm really indebted to all the eminent academicians playing the role here of chairpersons in the 11 technical sessions. For chairing the sessions, we have with us Dr. Desmond Onemechi Okacha, Senior Lecturer, Bingham University, Nigeria, Dr. Zurena Ali, Senior Lecturer, Center for Modern Languages, University Malaysia, Pahang, Dr. Swaraj Raj, Professor in English and former Head, Department of English, Faculty of Languages, Shri Guru Granth Sahib World University, Fatehgarh Sahib, India. Dr. C. Raju, Associate Professor and Head, Department of English, Yadava College, Madurai. Dr. Ritinder Joshi, Professor in English, Government College, Shri Muktsar Sahib, Punjab, India. Dr. Prashant Subhash Rao Mote, Department of English, Adarsh Mahavidyalaya, Osmanabad, India. Dr. Dinesh Kumar, Assistant Professor in English, Dayal Singh College, Karnal, India. Dr. Anupam Vatsyana, Head of English Department, Guru Nanak Khalsa College for Women, Ludhiana, India. Dr. Rupali Sharma, Lecturer, Government College, Udhampur, India. Dr. Pradeep Kaur Rajpal, Assistant Professor in English, DAV College, Jalandhar, India. Dr. Manjinder Kaur Brach, Assistant Professor of English, Desh Bhagat University, Punjab, India. I am pleased to welcome all the paper presenters who have joined this conference today to share their knowledge and interpretation regarding various topics concerned to their respective fields and increase our mental horizons. The chairpersons have been uniquely placed to listen, discuss, and highlight the key points of the presenters. My deep appreciations are due to our worthy team leader and always energetic and inspiring personality, Dr. Jasveer Singh, Principal, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Anandpur Sahib, India, for supporting the efforts of our department for organizing this conference. I wish to extend my deep appreciation for each one of you for joining this one-day international virtual conference. In this unprecedented times, we are thrilled to connect virtually. I must admit, academicians gathered here on this platform, you're all leaders in this field, and I'm sure that your knowledge, experience, and expertise will provide important insights. I am sure you all that after attending this conference, you will walk away with practical as well as profitable information. So, with this brief note of welcome, I wish you all once again a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for introducing us with the theme of the conference. Moving forward, uh, I'll request Dr. Jasveer Singh ji to formally welcome our guests. Dr. Jasveer Singh, the principal of the college, who always encourages us to organize such events to exchange the ideas with the people sitting in far-flung areas, is our guiding force. Now, without much ado, I'd ask Principal Sir to formally welcome our guest, Dr. Jasveer Singh.
Thank you, Professor Dilsherji. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all on the occasion of International Virtual Conference, which is organized by PG Department English on the topic of energy trends and challenges in English literature, art, and culture. I would like to thank all the dignitaries and participants for joining us. I am heartily welcome Honorable Chief Guest, Professor M. Maniruzman, guest of honor, Dr. Malini Ganpathi, Dr. Jason S. Pauli, Dr. Savraj Raj. I am grateful to them for accepting our invitation to grace this event with their presence. Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Shri Anandpur Sahib, is situated on very religiously and historical place. It's the birthplace of Khalsa. This college was established in 1968 by Sant Mahinder Singh Ji Harkhowal Ji. In 1977, the college came under the management of Shromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, Shri Amritsar Sahib. Shromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee is running 37 colleges, more than 70 schools, and 1 university. Under the management of Shromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, college has made tremendous progress in every sphere. The college has its own community radio station available at 90.8 megahertz. Programs of educational and religious interests are aired through it. The college has been granted autonomous status since the session 2019-20. Autonomous status provides us the greater flexibility towards academic development and more opportunities for the upliftment of academic standards and excellence. The autonomy is actually the result of our consistent past efforts and has come in the wake of an A grade in NAC reaccreditation, college status, and star status of DBT, Government of India. The college has another prestigious scheme to its credit, DSC FIST. Recently, Baba Atomic Research Center has initiated a national project for determining seismic activities of the area. For this, a solar-powered radon geostation has been developed and installed on the college premises. Our college keeps organizing conferences, seminars, and workshops consistently for the faculty and students to increase their knowledge and associate them with various aspects of life, language, and literature. Here it is pertinent to tell that the credit of the success of the college goes to very disciplined students, hardworking faculty, people's trust in the institution, and blessings of the management. Once again, I welcome you all to this great event, and I wish you all enlightening the inspiring sessions ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. Now, moving forward with the proceedings, I'd like to introduce to you our guest of honor of this inaugural session. The guest of honor for this session is Dr. Malini Ganpathi. She is a senior lecturer at School of Languages, Literacies and Translation, University Sands, Malaysia, Penang. She has obtained the Certificate of Education from TESL and has done her PhD in Applied Linguistics from University Sands, Malaysia. She has 18 years of teaching experience at secondary schools prior to joining University Sands, Malaysia in 2014. Her research interests include English language teaching, literacy and writing, and she has published numerous research articles focusing on her area of research, both in international and local journals. I request Dr. Malini Ganpathi to kindly address the participants. Dr. Malini Ganpathi.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, you are visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me for this conference, esteemed conference. And thank you for the speech to the principal earlier just now. So this is my topic of presentation today, the 21st century pedagogical practices of English language teachers. A study was carried out in the context of 21st century. Teachers today have to be equipped with current innovative teaching pedagogies. So the study that was carried out aimed to gauge the level of knowledge of in-service teachers regarding 21st century pedagogical skills and the type of skills in-service teachers use when teaching. I'm presenting to you a quantitative study which employed a questionnaire to gather data from 70 experienced English teachers from schools in Klang Valley in Malaysia. The results show that in-service teachers were generally well informed of the knowledge and practices of 21st century pedagogical skills, and teachers are aware that technologies have an influence on students' learning. However, they are not practicing the integration of technology sufficiently for optimum benefit in the classroom. Therefore, teachers have to be more proactive. So this study suggests that teachers have to be more proactive in practicing the relevant 21st century pedagogical skills. However, further research is needed on the reasons as to why teachers are not in the habit of practicing the relevant 21st century pedagogical skills. So it's undeniable today that teaching has become very challenging to most academicians, and therefore we have to be prepared to change according to innovative teaching pedagogies. So according to Kohler, Mishra, Yaya, and Yada, technological pedagogical content knowledge was devised as a framework for the knowledge-based teachers need to effectively teach. So according to Kahn, Lodlau, and Riggs, utilize the generate, evaluate, modify approach to organize teaching through technology. So they too promote technology in teaching. So technology integration in a specific educational context benefits the areas of content, pedagogy, and potential of technology. So teachers have to keep this in mind, academicians especially, in the higher education setting and also at the schools. Teachers who aim to implement technology in the teaching practice have to be competent in all the above three domains, which are content, pedagogy, and potential of technology. So in order to engage our students in their learning, teachers are expected to use technology as a supplement, not as the main tool to the blended learning approach. So there is a need for a balanced pedagogy in terms of teaching both cognitive and affective domains, which needs to be ascertained. Rather than mere rote memorization, teachers need to ensure that students are active learners who are capable to meet 21st century needs. So they have to be relevant in today's globalization, in the globalized world. The focus is on the development of students' capacities of critical thinking. So Ennis, Zoller, Ben Claim, Ron, Pettimelli, and Bosses emphasize this. Teachers no doubt have to be familiar with 21st century pedagogies in order to teach effectively. However, unfortunately, many teachers, academicians struggle to cope with the challenges presented. So according to Juliana, Lin, Chung, and Sue, the reality is that most teachers ignore critical thinking and creativity skills by adhering to the syllabus. So they're basically just relying on the syllabus and not creatively teaching, Okay, the TPAC framework used in this study highlights 9 features of 21st century competence, which is enabling technologies, teaching and learning using project-based learning, PBL, developing problem-solving skills, assessment, we can't escape from this, it's also included, teaching and developing thinking skills, encouraging collaboration, encouraging reflection, and developing media fluency, and lastly, developing information fluency. So in this context of research, there was a need to know whether teachers understand their level of knowledge in relation to 21st century pedagogical skills. In the Malaysian setting, that we have the education blueprint, which outlines the plans to strengthen the use of English language in schools. So this blueprint was constructed in 2013 and will last till 2025. So what are English language teachers today doing to cope with the latest teaching pedagogies? These are a few questions that you need to think about, and later the results of this study will answer these questions. Are they aware of effective teaching pedagogies? Are they performing in accordance to 21st century needs? So the main aim of the study was to investigate whether in-service English language teachers today have knowledge of the 21st century teaching pedagogies, and what are the methods they usually employ to teach these 21st century pedagogical skills. Are they relevant? And are students actually engaging in their learning? These are the 2 research questions employed by the study. What knowledge do in-service teachers have of 21st century pedagogical skills? What 21st century pedagogical skills do in-service teachers use when teaching? So these two research questions, underlie the study. So it's without doubt that today's education in reality has fallen far behind the vision to produce a blended learning approach which supplements technology, especially in the Malaysian settings. Many studies focus on what teachers need to know in order to be able to effectively incorporate technology into their teaching. It is ruled out that the primary focus should be on evaluating how technology is used. It should be part and parcel of the teaching. So according to the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education and the Partnership for 21st Century Skills, new teacher candidates must be equipped with 21st century knowledge and skills in order to make teaching very relevant in today's classroom scenarios. So AACTE, American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education, promotes the inclusion of 21st century knowledge and skills formally into teacher preparation programs. So it is imperative actually for students to acquire 21st century skills that is aligned to the industry's needs. But however, classrooms generally fall short of adhering to 21st century language learning and teaching, which is very sad, Project-based learning, according to Doug, Groh, and Allen, project-based learning promotes students to build their reasoning and communication skills, which are vital in the 21st century. Students have to be able to showcase their critical thinking skills, not just by rote memorization, by providing their own opinions, views, and analyzing information, critical thinking skills. So here we're looking at higher order thinking skills, HOTS, which underlies Bloom's technology. So according to D, through the application of technical and cognitive skills, students can develop information fluency. And how is that? By maximizing the benefits of technology. A quantitative method was used to investigate the in-service teachers' knowledge and practices pertaining to 21st century pedagogy skills and the extent to which they practice 21st century pedagogical skills in the classroom. A questionnaire was employed to gather data from English teachers from the Klang Valley district in Malaysia. A purposive sampling was used to select 70 teachers with over 5 years of teaching experience from schools under the Ministry of Education. Why 5 years of teaching experience minimum? So we'll be able to see their experience, whether they actually advocate technology in the classroom. The questionnaire was developed based on the 9 categories of 21st century pedagogical skills, which I had highlighted earlier. It was piloted on a group of 10 teachers randomly selected from 5 urban and 5 rural schools to establish its reliability and validity. So the questionnaire consists of 2 sections, knowledge and practice respectively, with each section containing the 9 features of the 21st century pedagogical skills in English language education. So these are the results. Enabling technologies, knowledge is 3.67. Whereas practice was only 3.38. Teaching and learning using PBL. If you notice, all the items, the knowledge is higher compared to the practice. So most in-service teachers are not advocating their knowledge in the practical sense as much as they have the knowledge of it. So enabling technology, the mean score was 3.67. Teaching and learning using project-based learning, 3.57. Developing problem-solving skills, 3.58. So if we notice for all others, it's above 3 and nearly touching 4, whereas the mean score for practice is much lower, compared to the knowledge aspect. So generally, the analysis reveals that the respondents fall in the moderately high mean. So this means the score showcases the in-service teachers no doubt have moderately high level of knowledge and practices of the 21st century pedagogical skills, but there is a need to take note of some features of 21st pedagogy skills that need attention, either in knowledge or practice. So teachers practicing enabling technologies need to be given due attention despite the fact that they possess high knowledge, actually, with a mean score of 3.67. The teachers claim to have awareness that visualizations, simulations, and animations through technologies are vital aspects of teaching and learning, but they still lack the use of enabling technologies in their teaching. That's the harsh reality, Teachers' practices in enabling technologies have the lowest mean, which underlines the point that they require more motivation in using technologies in the classroom. So here it shows that teachers are not motivated to use technologies in the classroom. Yeah, so it could be due to various challenges that they experience. So although these teachers have a high knowledge of technologies, they're not practicing them as frequently as they should. So they're using it to a small extent. So this finding corroborates the study by Stockwell, which explored the views of teachers and leaders, where it was reported that as a result of using technology in the classroom, students are more motivated to learn. Therefore, teachers are aware that technologies have a hand in engaging students' learning, but due to certain reasons, they're not practicing the integration of technology sufficiently for optimum benefit in the classroom. Although both the knowledge and practice of the pedagogy skills are moderately high, the level of knowledge and assessment is 9% more than the level of practice in the 21st century pedagogy skills. So although teachers have the knowledge of various technology, not every teacher has the knowledge to teach using them, which concurs with Darling-Hammond's study. So teachers have the ability to read and interpret assessment data accurately. And it is teachers who need to understand what they have to teach according to their teaching objectives before entering the classroom. So the findings concur with McDonald, 2003. Teachers, no doubt, are aware that infused thinking skills lead to effective learning and that higher order thinking skills is an integral component of teaching. But they're not very much aware of how higher order thinking skills could be enhanced with the use of ICT, AI, information communication technology, and do not apply much of higher order thinking skills in the activities used during the input stage of the lesson. So the in-service teachers are able to access and use the selected information to accomplish a specific purpose efficiently, but however, they lack ability to evaluate information and its sources critically. So this study, what does it conclude? It's that teachers have to be more proactive in practicing the relevant 21st century pedagogical skills. And even if they have the knowledge, it does not mean anything if they do not practice them. So one possible solution is involving the in-service teachers in an ICT course. So they're sent for courses, in-service courses, and to develop their competency. And the completion of each level will contribute a certain percentage of the annual appraisal. So in this sense, they are forced, to actually attend this in-service courses when it's available. So further research should focus on the reason as to why teachers are not in the habit of practicing the relevant 21st century pedagogical skills, despite having sufficient knowledge. Okay, thank you. Do you all have any questions for me?
If anybody has some query, they can ask.
Hello, I want to talk to Dr. Malini.
Yes.
Dr. Malini, it was a very informative lecture that you gave us. And I agree with you that the teachers are not using the technology to a sufficient level. And how should we encourage it? How should we promote this use of technology to improve the teaching of English? Because as you know, spoken English is quite poor, especially in Indian colleges and schools, I find. And the use of technology would be a great help in improving the pronunciation and presentation skills of students and create a lot of confidence if they are able to speak with when they go abroad and when they communicate with people outside the country. As you know, a whole lot of people are leaving Punjab and settling in Canada or in Australia. And they definitely want to pass the IELTS exam. But as far as their spoken English is concerned, which is quite poor, technology would be the best answer. So how do we promote it in colleges and how do we make the teachers take to it in a big way?
Thank you for that question. So I think the first step should be exposing these teachers to professional development courses. And so they will have the opportunity to learn new techniques, like Kahoot and Padlet. They can use all this in the classroom, interactive activities using technology. So in the first step, they should be introduced to all this technology so they can implement it in the classroom for the students to actually engage in all these tools in the classroom.
Thank you. FDP and the teaching of English will have to be redone, I think, in our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful lecture. Now, moving forward with the program, I'd like to introduce our chief guest. The chief guest for the inaugural session is Dr. M. Maniruzaman. He is the professor in the Department of English at Jahangir University, Bangladesh, IELTS speaking examiner, IDP Bangladesh, and global professional member of TESOL International Association. He has done his PhD in applied linguistics and ELT from University of Dhaka. Besides, he has completed his e-teacher methodology for TESOL at the University of Maryland, BC, e-teacher assessment at the University of Oregon, e-teacher educational technology at Iowa State University, and ELT LMCP offered by TESOL International Association, and attended PDW 2013 at the University of Oregon, USA. He has 29 years of teaching experience and research experience and more than 100 publications, including research papers, translations, book reviews, and book chapters. His core interests include TESOL methodology, curriculum, and syllabus design, materials development, assessment and testing, educational technology, L2 teacher education, and ELT leadership and management. Now I request Dr. Razaman to kindly deliver his inaugural address. Dr. Maniruzaman.
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum and namaskar.
Good morning, sir.
Honorable Chief Patron, Age Harjinder Singh Dhami, Honorable Patron, Dr. Daljit Singh Chema, respected conference convener, Dr. Jasveer Singh, Principal, Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, respected conference coordinator, Dr. Gurpreet Kaur, Head PG Department of English, Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, learned and enthusiastic academicians, scholars, presenters, teachers, students, and ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. The conference organizers, especially Dr. Jasveer Singh and Dr. Gurpreet Kaur, have invited me. I am honored indeed. Thank you, Dr. Jasveer Singh and Dr. Gurpreet Kaur and others concerned. This international virtual conference on emerging trends and challenges in English literature, art, and culture is relevant and consequential for academic discussion and successfully facing challenges pertaining to English literature, art, and culture in the 21st century. Literature, art, and culture, like other facets of life, change at a more rapid pace now than ever before because of the innumerable political, social, cultural, and technological changes happening in the world, which requires expeditious resolution. Hence, the conference becomes essential for social cause, provides a platform for a collective discussion to increase the horizon of our knowledge and expertise. That's the conference aims to provide an international platform for researchers, academicians, and experts from various fields as regards literature, art, and culture to present the latest research and findings that could contribute to exchanging new information and knowledge enriching our expertise and performance, provoking us into thinking about and reflecting on our areas of study and experience, and thus driving us to confirm and not reject published knowledge, as well as gain, create, and disseminate new information and ideas. I wish the conference a big success. Now, I would like to give my talks on language, literature, culture, and society. Can I share slides? Can I share slides? Am I clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You may share slides if you look at the window with the arrow
Okay,
pointing
just
up
give me a
beside
second.
beside the hand. Yeah, that should enable you to share screens.
Is it okay? Is it visible?
It now is.
Yes, this is visible.
Okay. Language, literature, culture, and society. Where we are, who we are, and how we are. Though my specialization is in applied linguistics and TLT, today I'm going to give my talks on a slightly different area, which is relevant to today's conference. My talks focus on language, literature, culture, and society, and their interrelationships, as well as our place, identity, and status. Let me first focus on language. We all know language is a universal means of communication. It's species specific to human beings. It's a system of speech. It's manual as well as written symbols we use to communicate in our real life situations. Language helps us share our feelings and ideas with others and identify ourselves as a body or community. Language unifies us as a cultural entity or isolates us from other speech communities. It helps us discover our identity, exercise power, express solidarity, debate, argue, and reach inference. Language is seen as many varieties, but first of all, language in general is exclusively human property and a social phenomenon, including all the languages and dialects of the world. But languages in particular are systems of communication of individual persons and our communities. It's integrated into culture of communities. It incorporates essence of specific speech groups, and language can have many different varieties. Here I'm focusing on some major varieties. Number one, dialects. Dialects are regional, geographical, uh, and social varieties of a particular language. Idiolects, yeah, idiolects are individual varieties in a community. Every person has his or own way of using his mother tongue. and individual characteristics constitute individual varieties called intellects. Here we have seen that language is very much integrated into its culture as well as its society. Here, if we consider Malinowski, anthropologist from Poland, if we want to know the culture of the persons of a community, first of all, we should know the language of the people of that community. Here we see that the language of the community is very much associated with the culture of that community. Only humans possess language acquired through language acquisition device, according to Chomsky, and used for communication amongst them in real life situations. That is the innate biological ability of humans to acquire and develop a language, more than one language. Three main concepts are related to cognitive development of humans. There's how children think, how children explore, and how children figure things out. Here we see culture is very significant in the learning process, and language functions as the root of culture. And individual persons or individual children learn and develop within their role in the community society. Abraham 1990 maintains language mainly performs three functions: instrumental, symbolic, and cognitive. Language controls access to power, opportunity, and material resources. Language decides identity. Language serves to influence the belief and thought systems of the speaker. Languages and using language manifest who we are, and we define reality partly through our language and linguistic behavior. Hence, our language reveals where we are from. There's our location, region, profession, occupation, who we are. Just it means our community, our society, and our nation, and how we are. There's our culture or our religion or our beliefs. To narrow down the point, language is the sole medium of literature, incorporating that's our place, our who, I mean here, our identity, and how, that's our status. Now,
Dr. Maniruzaman,
pardon me?
sir, participants are asking for slides which are not visible to them. If the slide is visible, they are asking for the rolling of the slides.
Yeah, I don't hear you clearly. Can you speak a little loudly?
Sir, participants are saying that slides are visible, but they are not scrolling. Kindly scroll the slides.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Is it okay now? Is it visible clearly?
Slide is visible, but they are not scrolling. Not moving.
They are not moving. But
Yes.
actually, yeah, I am moving. I am moving according to my convenience. Is the slide now visible?
Sir, only first one is visible. The slide which you are
Only
reading, that is
first
not
one.
visible to the
You
public.
mean the very first one?
Yes, only the first one is visible, sir.
Oh my goodness. Let me stop sharing. Just give me a second. Okay. Is it okay now? Yeah, which slide is visible now?
It's visible now, sir.
First one or literature, language,
Literature
culture, and
and society. This one, sir. This one is visible now. I think it is slide number 4. Slide 8 visible.
hello,
Yes, we are looking at slide number 8 right
hello.
now.
Am I audible?
You are audible and we see slide number 8.
Yeah, are the slides visible now?
We can see slide number 8.
Yes,
So
sir. They are
yeah.
visible. They are visible.
Yeah, can you tell me the slide number just to
It is
confirm?
slide number 8, sir. Slide number
Okay,
8.
it's okay. It's okay. So here, yeah, before this slide, I'm going back to the 7th slide. Okay. So far, we have seen that language, culture, and society are very much integrated. They are not, they are inseparable. We can't separate one from the others. Here, my talks focuses on literature. Here, actually, I have related the 4 things together. You have already known language, literature, culture, and society. Literature is the most sophisticated manifestation of language. I have already shared with you that only language is the medium of literature. Without language, there is no existence of literature. On the other hand, literature is the most sophisticated manifestation of language. We find the most sophisticated appearance of language in literature. Literature represents the culture and tradition of a language or a group of people. It also embodies where we are from, who we are, and how we are. There's everything related to our language, culture, and society is reflected in literature. And now I'm just sharing some examples with you how language includes literature reflects or literature represents everything related to our life, to our culture, to our uh, society, to our art, to our psychology, to our behavior, everything. And here I have picked up some literary pieces, literary works created by different writers across the globe. Number one, culture and history. And culture and history is very much represented in literature. For example, here I have put Amitav Ghosh. In Amitav Ghosh's fictional works, we see how literature represents culture and history. Secondly, in literature, we find humanitarianism, religion, and beliefs. For example, um, in Arun Kamble's works, Arun Kamble is he is the writer is from Marathi. Then Manoranjan Biapari in Bengali, Bangla literature. And by the way, Bengali is my mother tongue. And Prasad Valmiki in Hindi. In their works, we find the reflection and representation of humanitarianism, religion, beliefs, attitudes. Next, we find the reflection or representation of contemporary life, religion, relations, and activities in literature. If we go through Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, very famous English novelist during the Romantic era in English literature, we find how contemporary life, relations, and activities are predicted and portrayed. Social morality in the Victorian age and the negative impact of industrialization on the underprivileged people of the contemporary society is portrayed, is reflected in the fictional works of Charles Dickens, as well as in Thomas Hardy. If we think of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, we'll find a very vivid picture of the Victorian age in the UK, England, as well as the negative impact of industrialization. Then we can consider environment and ecology. It's a very 21st century topic now. Deep ecological insights are found in the poetry of Robinson Jeffers and Mary Oliver. We can find social deformity and exploitation in plantation novels. It's a very contemporary 21st century genre, I should say. And here we can have, I have here just included some writers from America and some writers from India. Here, Molk Raj Anand, Anand's Tulips and Bud. It's a very famous plantation novel. And here we find social deformity and exploitation. Similarly, we find the same thing in Paul Harris, Daniel's Red Tea, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, and Edward Jones' The Known World. Then we can consider diaspora and alienation, and it's a very hot topic now, especially in the Indian subcontinent. The Indian diaspora and experiences of the Indian immigrants in America are found in the works of Chitra Banerjee, Divankaroni in India, and in many other writers, Indian writers, writing in English. And we find challenges and difficulties, sufferings and pains faced by women in an alien country in the novels of Bharati Mukherjee. We find immigrant motherhood and transnationality in Jhumpa Lahiri's fiction. In this way, we see that our life, our feeling, our experience, our everything is represented or reflected in literature. Another point here I have included identity and isolation. Yeah, if we consider the praise of Othel Fogart, we see the representation of race, identity, and isolation. And if we go through Margaret Atwood's novels, we find identity of and space for women. Then we find the representation or reflection of ethnic, national, and multicultural identities in the poetry of Haskell, Dennis Haskell. We find women's racism and self-identity in the novels of Manju Kapoor in India. And I've just included another example here, which there's a very famous modern English poet, T.S. Eliot. In his poetry, find exile, existence, identity, uh, problems, just the negative sides of modern city life. Just we can specifically consider the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock or The Westland. In literature, we find professions and occupations. Yeah, I've included some novels. These are called campus novels. For example, Franking Proses, Blue Angel, Philip Roth's The Human Strain from America. And here I've included some writers from India, Srividya Natarajan's novel. Yeah, we have seen No Onions for Garlic and Amitabha Bakchi's Above Average. Reasons, imaginations, and emotions are also represented in literature. If you consider English New Classical Literature created by Alexander Pope, John Dryden, Daniel Defoe, we find reasons, just explanations, expression of reasons in many different ways. But if we consider the romantic literature, especially poetry in English literature, we find imagination, emotions, the reference to the classical art. Here we can consider the English romantics, William Blake, William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Lord Byron, and P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. And here, just to refer to the to today's conference title, yeah, we can here consider John Keats's Out on Aggression on Art. Art is more permanent than human life. Are the slides working now? Hello? Are the slides visible now?
So slide is visible, but they are not flowing.
Oh, so,
Still, slide number 8 is there.
oh my goodness. But I am now giving my talks on slide number 12. So do you see slide number 12 now?
It is still 8, sir. Now it is 11.
11. Okay. So yeah, the display mode isn't working. I don't know. That maybe the problem is with me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So which one is now visible?
Now, sir, it is slide number 12.
12.
Having a heading recap.
Okay. It's 11. Is it 11 or 12?
Now it is 11.
Okay. All right. Is slide number 11 visible now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've just considered another one aspect of our human life, which is related to, which is reflected in literature, portrayed in literature. Yeah, society, class, customs, psychology, behavior, and politics, all the things, I have put all the things together. And I've just picked up some writers for exemplifying how these aspects of our life are represented in literature. Number one, the multifaceted Indian women in the fictional works are found in the fictional works of Anita Nair and Jayashree Mishra. Yeah, we find Indian women with many different aspects of life, including identity crisis, including alienation, including depression, oppression, and many other things. The impact of discourse on the corporeal bodies of the black, middle, and lower middle class, heterosexual, and gender conforming women are available in the works of Toni Morrison, a North American writer. Female positioning and gender polarization are found in the novels of Anita Desai from India, writing in English. And we find race, gender, and culture in the plays of Netuzake Sanch, and we find socio-political subjugation in the plays of Megan Terry. And finally, we find social victimization in the plays of Mahesh Dakhtani and novels of Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay from West Bengal, writer of Bengali literature. And do you see the 12th slide now?
Sir, it is slide number 11.
11. Now is it 12?
No, sir, still, now it is 12. It is 12.
Okay.
The
So
heading
yeah,
is
display mode isn't working. Okay, but just let me conclude my talks. I appreciate your patience. Sorry for the technical constraints. And yeah, language is, I'm just recapitulating my talks. Language is interlocked with culture and society. Just these discussions I've just given so far, the talks I've given so far, shared the points I've shared with you so far, show that language is interlocked with culture and society and reveals our place, our identity, our status, especially in communication and literature. For example, the literature of my language depicts my place, I mean location, my identity, as well as my status. Literature embodying culture and society travels only through language and represents our place, our identity and status. Thus, we can claim that language, literature, culture, and society are firmly interconnected and exhibit all aspects of human life and reality, human thoughts and imagination, human psychology and behavior, and so forth. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. Now, moving forward with the program, I'd like to invite another guest of honor for inaugural session, Dr. Jason S. Pole. He is an associate professor of English at Hong Kong
Baptist University. His research interests include Indian English fiction, experimental non-fiction, and comics reportage. He has published various articles in journals of national and international repute. He is co-editor of the volumes of poetry in pedagogy and cultural conflict in Hong Kong. He has authored the monographs Jane Smiley, Jonathan Franzen, Don DeLillo, Narratives of Everyday Justice. His creative nonfictions include Cemetery, Miss You, and Refrain. He also contributes poetical verses to Voice and Verse and book reviews to Cha and Proverbs Hong Kong. Very welcome to you, sir. Now I request you to kindly deliver your inaugural address. Now the mic is over to Jason S. Pauling.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay? I am trying.
Yes, sir. It's audible. You're audible, sir.
Okay.
You're audible.
I am trying to share my paper, albeit I am sharing an alternate screen. I'm not sure why. I don't know how to change my screen. Allow. Okay, I am not able to share the. Are you seeing this screen of my talk title, or are you just seeing an alternate screen, which is the similarity of the Google Meet screen? Are you seeing my talk?
Yes, sir, it is there. I think it's rereading India from to a without. That's within the view of Western Southeast Asia.
Okay, okay.
Is it
So
so,
you
sir?
see this. Okay, so you can see the screen that begins with invited talk in
Yes, it is
creative
visible.
nonfiction.
It is visible.
Okay, great.
It is
And
visible.
and if I scroll like this, is it scrolling? Is the screen scrolling as I scroll? Can anybody hear me? Am I still audible?
Yes.
No, it is not scrolling, sir.
It is
Yeah, it
visible.
is scrolling now. It is scrolling.
It
It is scrolling now.
Yes, sir.
I want you to see it while I read it because I make a lot of references. So I am now ready to begin. So thank you very much for inviting me. And I would like to echo the feelings of the previous presenter, the professor from Bangladesh. So salam alaikum, namaskar, and of course, Sat Shri Akal. I would like to thank everyone, especially Dr. Gurpreet Kaur and the conference organizers for graciously inviting me and entertaining my words today. So I will just check one more time to make sure that I am audible. Everyone can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so please lend me your ears for the next 23 minutes. So I was asked to give a talk on creative nonfiction, so I decided to deliver a talk in creative nonfiction. It is titled Rereading India from a Without That's Within, The View from Western Southeast Asia. Some of the key words that will jump out at you, hopefully, are India, Northeast India, autoethnography, colonialism, alterity, and Rushdie. Part 1. It was in Silchar, a mid-sized city in South Assam, where a man waved at me, proclaiming Englishman, as I beeped and bumped past in a chock-full multi-passenger rickshaw. I had smiled and echoed his alacrity by waving with a friendly Canada, Canadian, but my mainly mouthed words didn't really matter. What mattered, both in the instant and upon reflection, was the spirit in which the appellation was levied and received. Despite the colonial dimensions of my othering, this Gora experience was free of post-colonial ressentiment, by which I mean that my ironic psychic companion, IPC, the privileged inner arbiter who's piqued by my every global north privilege, relaxed his browbeating. In fact, the Gora label, especially as experienced at the end of a 3-month sabbatical in Northeast India's 7 sister states, inculcated the precise opposite of antipathy. I experienced my English Sahib hailing as a mode of rancor-free recognition. 2, I continue to stress the sincerity of my Gora brothering. The impression of paradoxical belonging was and remains genuine. I feel legitimated, not in any type of bemused way, but because I still identify the speech act Englishman as a gesture of kindness. The exchange, actually and in retrospect, was socially innocent. It was unencumbered by my IPC's intercessions, that SOP internal colonial backlash to appropriate David Foster Wallace. The whole civic salute incident on the rickshaw was neither calculating or awkward or overcompensating or falsely laid back, which oft psychically disguises paranoia, an effect of the superstructure, a symptom of inherited global North guilt. My hailed Gora experience was a happy, fleeting, and lasting engagement. There was even a sense of Canadiana to it. It was kind. Kindness, etymologically, encodes kinship and courtesy. In a complex yet instantaneous way, I felt welcomed anew, as at once Gora and Bai. I have to be careful how I pronounce that. 3, but I had already been feeling like an estranged brother, which is perhaps a more accurate mark by which to capture an othering that's, forgive the iteration, a brothering. But again, I had already been feeling both Gora and Bai, only most recently in English, not Hinglish or Benglish. This feeling of linguistic belonging manifested over the course of a 10-hour, 200-kilometer van ride from Tripura's Dharmanagar to the Mizoram capital of Aizawl. It had befallen me to act as translator between my Hindi and Bengali-speaking Tripuri drivers, I have no truck in Kokborok, and the English and Mizo, ditto, speaking peoples of Mizoram, whom we accosted roadside at least every quarter hour. It was in the mountainous regions of Mizoram and Nagaland, where churches are as prevalent as stupas in Myanmar's Old Bagan, that my linguistic and religious otherness intersected with local Western Southeast Asian otherness. And my connection to Hong Kong solidified this conjunction. There we were, others in an alternative India, that, with the help of Commonwealth services, as any visit to the Kohima War Cemetery or Manipur's Imphal War Cemetery memorializes, resisted Japanese forces in 1944. 4. Certainly, this utopic, naive feeling of brotherhood characterizes my own positionality, one textured by an Indophilia much evolved in these 3 months. Someone else in the same scene may have felt embarrassed or offended or physically threatened or racially outcasted. There are innumerable ways one might react to any public exposure. I wonder how, for example, the Delhiite I mistook for an Englishman at a Tetseo Sisters performance outside Kohima might have responded to the same colonial branding. Yet who's to say who else might or might not have mistaken that Delhiite's national origin in Kisama Village's bamboo hall or anywhere outside of it, this in Northeast India or the rest of India. I should note, though, that no mainland Indian, nor any Northeast Indian, mistook me, to my face, for a Delhiite, or an Indian from any Indian elsewhere. The last sentence of 4 evokes the 1980s, while also encoding the title of this talk, one delivered in brief, numbered snapshots meant to be read in any order, thus, 1, reflecting the layered or overlapping nature of human experience, knowledge as rhizomatic, while also 2, recognizing the false sense of ontological order representations of human experience impose upon human experience. A fabricated ordering that linear representation too belies, since writing is also rhizomatic. It accrues unpredictably through rereading and supplément. Footnotes and other paratextual apparatuses expose the writing experience as interruptedly accumulative. My quotation marks, my parenthetical rhetorical qualifiers, they're in my subtitle too, these Duridian indices. The view from Western Southeast Asia is partly, again, appropriated from David Foster Wallace. In the view from Miss Thompson's, Wallace describes his live experience of 9/11 through the many eyes viewing a neighbor's communal television in Bloomington, Illinois. The views I capture from mainly mountainous Northeast India too are multiple and too united. thus the configuration in my subtitle of Northeast India as Western Southeast Asia. Composed of 7 sister states and a little brother, Sikkim, the Northeast houses over 140 tribes and over 200 languages. Still, as explained to me by a Naga in Kohima, there's a solidarity to Northeast Indians, who collectively define themselves in opposition to mainland India. A moniker that cannot but call to mind colonization. But not mainly colonization by the British Raj, which is ideologically embedded since the interstate lingua franca in Mizoram and Nagaland is English, and these populations predominantly Christian, but rather instead Indian colonization post-independence, which is hegemonically imposed and popularly resisted. A mainland Indian influence most evident in the Barak and Manipur river valleys, as well, of course, in the implementation of the CAB in December 2019. 7. Thus, the Northeastern Indian sobriquet, Western Southeast Asia. The parenthetical Western allows for the reading of cardinal direction as well as that of Occidental influence, just as the hyphen in Southeast allows for the indefinability or openness that the fixed construction Northeast doesn't require. The already multiple Northeast, with Nagaland capital Kohima, for instance, closer to Bangkok by road, 1,500 kilometers, than it is to New Delhi, 1,700 kilometers, seems to identify as more Southeast Asian than Indian. But I'm keeping Indian, as I personally acknowledge the identity qualifier in scare quotes too. I've met Indians in places including Cochin, Jodhpur, Srinagar, Leh, Gangtok, and Sat Shri Akal, Amritsar alike, who individuate themselves from any collective those Indians imaginary. 8. These other Indian agents, like Kiran Desai's variety of lost generation subjects presented through an international cinematic lens in The Inheritance of Loss, and like Upamanyu Chatterjee's emblematic affluent urban subject alienated by the regional strangeness of his IAS post in bucolic India in English August, complicate the pan-Indian imaginary the Booker-winning Rushdie and global North readers and critics of Booker-winning Rushdie have championed since the 80s. This post-Rushdie generation, fueled by writers like Vikram Seth and Arundhati Roy and director Deepa Mehta, who harken back to India's regionalist renaissance in the war period, Mulk Raj Anand, Khushwant Singh, Raja Rao, R.K. Narayan, evidence the rereading India, sans hyphen and sans scare quotes of my title. India, to paraphrase Haresh Trivedi, is older than Rushdie, despite what Rushdie, or his wrongly right narrator Salim, believes. And the kaleidoscopic India requires continued invested rereading from beyond, which includes from below, a unitary spectacle of the nation's roman. 9. This short talk, tediously titled Rereading India from a Without That's Within, The View from Western Southeast Asia, complicates the possibility of a representative pan-Indian imaginary. This autoethnography emerges at the conjunction of 1, 3 decades of regular months-long backpacking returns across India, 2, 3 decades of devoted reading of Indian English fiction, broadly defined, and 3 months of travel in Northeast India, sister states where the few tourists I encountered were wholly, save at Nagaland's long-standing Hornbill Festival, mainland Indian. It was especially in places like Aizawl, Kohima, and Itanagar that I learned to naturalize the appellations mainland Indian and even Indian. But this might not be saying much, given I had only recently learned how Atlantic Canadians duly dismiss the rest of us mainland Canadians. Because of my complex feeling of Indian belonging in India's 7 sister states, as both interloper and familiar, I allegorically witness, experience 2 of many forms of Indian otherness, the otherness of mainland Indians in Western Southeast Asia, and the otherness of Western Southeast Asians in mainland India. 10. A paradoxical sense of solidarity can arise from a shared sense of disidentification. Assamese author Rita Chowdhury addresses one such form of enforced solidarity in her 2010 historical novel, Makam. Makam, the name of a defunct Chinese town, encrypts the Cantonese Ganma, meaning golden horse, which she herself translates to English with the indicative title Chinatown Days. Kasi Meghalayan filmmaker Nicholas Karkaner likewise speaks to collective forms of Indian alterity in his Delhi-set tragicomic Naga food film Akune, which reifies the Indian migrant experience. A strong-smelling Naga food staple, Akune, is analogous to that curry. The cooking experiences of Western Southeast Asians in mainland India replays mainland Indian cooking experiences beyond India in the global north. Finally, Rajat Ubaikar's hitchhiking travelogue Truck to India literally maps unique Indian agents and allows this reader finally to interpret Nagaland's celebrated Hornbill Festival animadversely, that is, as both exploitative and edifying. In the continued spirit of post-Rushdie Indian authorship, these three texts, particularly considering their circulation in a pre-pandemic period understood in terms of the CAB protests, which first fomented in India's northeast in late 2019, offer compelling Indian counter-narratives, ones that continue to complicate the Indian imaginary while encouraging the de-escalation of post-colonial resentments. 11. Kiran Desai deconstructs pan-Indian branding and belonging by juxtaposing cosmopolitanism and wretchedness, perhaps in riposte to Naipaul's notorious view of India from within. In her Booker-winning The Inheritance of Loss, Rohinton Mistry does the same in his portrayals of Bombay's dwindling Parsi community. In What the Body Remembers, Shauna Singh Baldwin, on the heels of Bapsi Sidhwa, does the same for the Raj province of Punjab, divided between nations at partition in 1947. Deepa Mehta's filmic Elements trilogy, Fire, Earth, Water, the second and third parts being respectively based on Sidhwa's Ice Candy Man and the then forthcoming Water, a novel, similarly dismantles any unified, holistic Indian identity marker. We see the same critique of Indianness and Hindutva generally in the work, novelistic and activist, of Arundhati Roy, whose 2017 novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, a sequel to 1997's Booker-winning The God of Small Things, integrates a host of humanized, instead of carnivalized, dispossessed subjects while charting some of the most harrowing events of the subcontinent's more contemporary history. 12. I had arrived to Silchar, the last stop on my northeast travels before my return to Hong Kong, in Assam's Barak Valley via a 16-hour small sedan drive from Nagaland's Dimapur, 350 kilometers away. We learned, Atto, Pete, and I, that it's advisable to avoid Highway 27, even on horseback, probably. We were 3 passengers and not the customary 2 because this was an inflection point in the CAB remonstrations. By this time, near mid-December 2019, Citizens Amendment Bill student protests had started to spread from the Northeast to mainland India's major cities. Bonds were already unpredictable and frequent all over the Northeast, in Upper Assam, in Meghalaya, in Tripura, in Mizoram, in Nagaland, in Arunachal Pradesh, in Manipur, and even in Sikkim. Students had eschewed their exams to protest alongside other disenfranchised minority Indian groups. Columns of police had been deployed to Assam. Live rounds had been fired in de facto Northeast capital Guwahati. 13. The Assamese Makam, standing for golden horse, intimates prosperity, luck, and resourcefulness. Makam historically embodies these attributes. A synecdoche of Upper Assam, Makam thrives through the 19th century and the first half of the 20th. This because of its tea plantations, ones the East India Company assembled on the backs of oft shanghaied imported Chinese and other Southeast Asian labor in order to disrupt China's monopoly of the English tea market. The 1962 Chinese incursion over the recently disputed Tibetan border and through Arunachal Pradesh, then called the Northeast Frontier Agency, as far south as Assam's Tezpur on the Brahmaputra, worked to expose rooted racial tensions, effectively reinscribing Makam and other Upper Assamese T-zones as Potemkin villages. Generations of ethnically Chinese, which includes other Indians suddenly rendered non-Indian, Assamese, were first translated into suspicious foreign agents, then detained and transported to prisons in Rajasthan, before being relocated again across India to Madras, from whence they were shipped back to, though they'd never been there before, Cultural Revolution China, where they were received as Black Chinese. In part 9 of this talk, I include a short parenthetical caveat. It reads, "Save at Nagaland's long-standing Hornbill Festival." I'd been in the middle of highlighting the lack of English or non-mainland Indian tourists in Western Southeast Asia. I'd yet to experience such a lack of global North dilettantism. Backpackers, after all, tend to be repackaged flaneurs. They're impractical tortoises exchanged for, romantically at least, unwieldy novels. In either mainland India or Southeast Asia, nor in China, actually. But it was at the Hornbill Festival after party in Kohima where I met the Delhi-based Dutchman who recommended Ubaikar's travelogue Truck to India, a hitchhiker's guide to Hindustan. The Mumbaikar civil servant reports from states including Gujarat, Kashmir, Manipur, and Tamil Nadu from the vantage point of goods carriers. He addresses Indian diversity from the bottom up. Ubaikar, however, comes to opine the Orientalist dimensions of Nagaland's Hornbill Festival, inaugurated in 1999. Ubaikar likens the Festival of Festivals' state-sponsored display of tribal diversity for the entertainment of tourists to colonial-era exhibitions such as the Exposition Universelle conducted in Paris in 1889, where a Negro village comprising 400 Negroes was among the star attractions. I shared these impressions with my Naga friend Asa, who had, so far, taken me to the wedding of Afre and Akri at a Catholic church in Jacama, introduced me to Akune, brought me to a screening of Akune, took me to the Tetseo Sisters Hornbill performance, and 5, arranged my sedan ride to Silchar with her cousin Atto and his best friend Pete, a Naga Navy colonel on furlough. Asa's immediate text reply to Ubaikar's post-colonial critique of the Hornbill was, "I agree." She then interrupted my belabored attempts to compare this colonial essentializing to the ironies of Thanksgiving with, "I don't hate Hornbill though. Despite its setbacks, it kind of helps the youngsters learn a bit of our culture, which, sadly, is dying out." But not one to entertain even moderated negativity for long. In the same minute, Asa rejoined, "Also, it's the only time of the year nightlife comes to life in Kohima." Thank you. Am I still audible? I have been audible the whole time? Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have not included any kind of conclusion as I've tried to keep it more amorphous in order to evoke what I've called the rhizomatic of experience and knowledge.
Could I please come in?
Yes, please.
Dr. Jason Pauly, first of all, I really like to congratulate you, Agora Bhai, on your excellent autoethnographic presentation. which is a perfect blurring of genres, truly a creative non-fictional work, something that I'm trying to write these days.
Great.
And definitely, you know, these are rhizomatic snapshots which deny hierarchy to phenomenological experiential knowing, and also any predetermined views of India that must have come to you filtered through various writings by the Indian authors.
Exactly.
So I really congratulate you for that. And I'm very happy that you have talked about the counter narratives that present some kind of a counter questioning to the extremities and oppressions of post-colonial states in the country. And let me add one thing here. The Hornbill Festival was not held this year because of the disturbances in the Northeast. It's something really I'm very unfortunate. But I would like to add on this note only that I really enjoyed listening to you. It was simply a beautiful presentation. Thank you.
I really appreciate your kind words, and I really respect your point about me gleaning informations from novels as well. So that might make me romanticize, or in the wake of Rushdie, perhaps carnivalize India. So I'm very much aware that I don't want to. I don't want to be an example of that appropriative voice. So it's very. I know I'm treading on difficult ground as a colonial subject, doing post-colonial readings. I don't want to impose my readings, and I'm aware that my readings might be carnivalized readings. So I'm trying to work against those, which is something I will talk about in my next talk. But I really appreciate your assessment of my presentation, Swaraj. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, insults for me, critiques?
Thank you very much, Mr. SNS. It was indeed a very enlightening lecture. I'm also thankful to Dr. Savraj for adding to it. And now I request Pravinder Kaur, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, to deliver her vote of thanks. Professor Pravinder Kaur.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M. Maniruzman, Guests of Honor, Dr. Malini Ganpathi, Dr. Jason S. Pauling, and all the participants. It's such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you all the dignitaries. On behalf of PG Department of English of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Shri Anandpur Sahib, Punjab, India, I extend my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M. Maniruzman, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace the event. Today, we got the opportunity to hear your thoughts. This will surely help us in our future endeavors. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank our guest of honor, Dr. Malini Ganpathi, who's accepted our invitation to grace the event with her valuable and enlightening words. Your deep and intellectual way of imparting knowledge has added to the glory of the event. Thank you so much, ma'am. My heartfelt thanks goes to our another guest of honor, Dr. Jason S. Pauling, who spared his valuable time to grace this event. We have learned a lot of new and amazing things, which will definitely help us in life. We have no words to offer our gratitude to your encouraging and inspiring words. We are really very thankful to you, sir. A special thanks goes to our college principal, Dr. Jasveer Singh, for providing immense support to make this event successful. I'm also thankful to Dr. Gurpreet Kaur, Head PG Department of English, and the entire organizing committee for working for weeks to make this event successful. I'm also thankful to Dr. Surinder Sharma, Head PG Department of Computer Science, and the faculty of PG Department of Computer Science for their technical assistance. And I must not forget to thank the media team for publicizing about the conference before and after. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for their active participation. Once again, I thank all named and unnamed people who have contributed to make this event successful. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will meet after tea break at 12:30 for technical sessions.